After the tea break. So now we are going to have a panel discussion with our LTRC alumni on past perfect, future tense. So I would like to call upon Dr. Radhika ma'am, who is the moderator for the panel discussion. The alumni joining us are Dr. Prasad, Dr. Monica, Dr. Sai Ganesh, Dr. Divya, Miss Divya, and Mr. Bhavijit Singh.
So I request the students, can you call people outside to come in? Okay. Okay, this is the last event of this wonderful celebration of LTRC Silver Jubilee. As we always say, students are the pillar. Whatever the institute achieves or what the research center achieves, it's because of students and collaborators and everybody else. But students, to me, are the prime reason why we are here. And with that, the alumni panel, I think initially Dipti ma'am also had shared my two phases at LTRC. In that sense, I think I have a right to moderate this panel. So I would see it as some of you are from phase one, like Prasad, and some of you are from phase two. Within phase two, I will also see there are two sub phases. One is before COVID and one is after COVID. So we have pre-COVID people. So there is Divya, okay, and then we have post-COVID graduates. Three of them are recent graduates. So we also have PhD students and dual degree students. So we would like to compare also how things were before and things are now. And I will also request if you have any questions later, you may ask them. So to start with, we had come up with this title, Past Perfect, Future Tense, for this panel discussion, because unlike other panel discussions, so this will be more like a nostalgia, run down the memory lane of LTRC and your IIIT days. So normally when we think of past, we think of our good old days. So in that sense, past is perfect. Similarly, there is uncertainty in the future in every, so we say future tense. So past perfect, future tense, that's the title. And present, because today is a gift to all of us. So present is present. So with that introduction to the theme of this panel, I request each one of you to introduce yourself to our audience. You can tell your batch, your program, and what are you doing currently, and then something that you share as you entered this campus today. What made you nostalgic? You can share 1 minute each.
I'll start with myself. Hello, everyone. My name is Monica. I joined LTRC in 2018 as a PhD student. Currently, I just finished my postdoctoral research from University of Bonn, Germany. So every time I come to Hyderabad, I make sure that I'll visit my lab to rejuvenate myself. And I'm super happy to be here in person for the LTRC Silver Jubilee.
Hello. Yeah, so I'm Prasad Pingali, and I was the first PhD student in LTRC. I joined in 2003 and I passed out in 2009. And since then, also for a few years, I taught as adjunct faculty while I was doing my startup. But after a few years, I was not able to manage both the things, and I had to drop off after that, and then I continued totally working. So right now, these days, I'm more consulting in technology leadership roles, on and off. So that's basically.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So I am Sai Ganesh Mirishkar. Currently, I am a co-founder and CTO of Voxverse. Previously, I was a senior research scientist at Sony Research Tokyo. And coming to IIIT is always like a home. Like now, like it's like complete circle is full for me. So yeah, there are so many moments which I miss from IIIT. Like we used to have a brainstorming session in the lab. Like it's not for just solving a problem. It's like how to think any problem being given by a professor. It is like peer to peer connection and mentors. Like there were senior people who used to guide us based on their experiences. All such things like we miss, but I think yeah, it's a full circle for me as of now. And it's and thank you for inviting me as a LTRC 25-year celebration.
Hello, everyone. My name is Divya Sai, and I joined IIIT in the year 2012 as a computational linguistics dual degree student. Currently, I am working as an NLP data scientist in Shell Technology Center. And mostly what we do is I work in the knowledge management portfolio for Shell and their technical documentations where we could retrieve knowledge easily in an intelligent manner. Apart from that, the moment I entered today into this auditorium, again, the first person I saw was PJN sir. And like I always say, I went back to my graphics class, that classroom that day. And just all those memories came back. And I should say that IIIT kind of gave me that atmosphere where I discovered a part of myself. When I joined IIIT, I don't think I was a person that I am today, definitely. And I should definitely say that IIIT has played a very significant role in that, where I could openly discuss all my thoughts. Like Sai Ganesh has said, brainstorm, no matter what. So maybe today I'm not able to do that, right? In corporate, where, every time if I want to brainstorm something about something, I think at least twice if this is a stupid question to ask. But I don't know why, but at IIIT, we kind of never had those inhibitions. We were very open, and maybe I would have been a more shy person today if it was not for IIIT. Thanks, thanks IIIT, and also ma'am, thank you for inviting for this panel discussion today.
Hi, I'm Bhavijit. I graduated in 2023 as a dual degree student from LTRC and IIIT. I'm currently working as a pre-doctoral research fellow with Microsoft Research in Bangalore. And yeah, so IIIT, that is one thing that we were just discussing right now, all like me with my lab mates, that this place just feels like home. We can always walk in. I was so happy to see that my fingerprint still works somehow at the main gate. So yeah. So the place in general just feels like home. As people have already mentioned, we could discuss ideas and we still have the same spirit. Like I just met my lab mates and we were still discussing ideas and research problems in the exact same manner like we were when I was there as a student. And the current lab students, the enthusiasm, the energy, everything is the same. And that's just great. And yeah, IIIT is the place which has probably which has definitely rather got me interested into research. When I joined as an undergraduate student, I had no clue what research is right after 12th. But over time, somehow I've now realized that this is something that I would really, really want to do for like probably the rest of my career as well, or like the rest of my life. And that is amazing. Like that is something that I don't think I would have ever realized had it not been for LTRC and the professors that I've worked with and IIIT. So, yeah. And it always feels great to be back. So thank you so much for inviting.
Okay, so all of you are in research now. Prasad, you too. Are you also in research?
No, no, I'm more into
Divya also no.
startups. And
Okay. Yes. So I'll start our first question with you. What was that at IIIT that made you think, this is what I have to do the rest of my life? Okay. Something that triggered you, each one of you. There must be some moments, right, which has helped you guide your future path as a undergraduate, as a beginner at IIIT. There must be some movement, some inspiration, or something that helped you decide on your future goal. In your case, it must be.
no, so in my case, when I joined IIIT was like another startup. Okay, to be honest, it just started. It was just a few years since it started. And when I came to meet Vasu and he was leading the search lab, there were only 3 people. And out of that, Ponrangam was one of them. He was leaving just at that time to CMU, I think. So myself and Jagdish, we were the only 2 people. And we were allocated a corner in LTRC. So from there, we grew it as a whole independent lab with its own space and all that stuff. So it was, so everything that it takes to build a organization. So we were part of that. We saw that whole thing. So it takes people it takes resources, everything to be able to build a complete lab. So for me, it was like very naturally like a second home kind of a thing, because that is what I always love to do: pick new challenges and then grow it so that it becomes self-sustaining after that. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else wants to share the aha moment while you were at IIIT?
So one thing what changed my life and what currently I'm doing is directly like it's related. So first of all, I should thank my prof like Anil, like who helped me and gave an opportunity to me to do a project which was a I think PSA project, pilot project, which was speech to speech machine translation for broadcast speeches. I think the intention was to transcreate Modi's Man Ki Baat from one language to other language. So like we had many challenges initially, and then the LTRC LTRC faculty, like I should name Professor Sangal, Professor Deepthi, and we used to have a regular meetings to solve the problem. There I realized, okay, to attack a problem, it is not just a solution. You need to understand the input nuances first. So like slowly again we were introduced to folks in Microsoft IDC Hyderabad, like how they are trying to solve with respect to speech to text and text to text and text to speech engines. Like that was the end goal, like what was being drafted in the proposal then. And then I met Vandan, right? So like the rockstar of current NMT, right? So we have done crazy things. And like the current path what I am following in my venture current, it's also the same thing, like with respect to a real time angle. Then I realized, okay, this is what will change the future. And it's a what I feel as on date is next 30 years LTR, I mean, language technology will definitely rule, because each and every modality, whatever, or the device, whatever we have or whatever we feel, speech will be the modality. First of all, you need to understand the speech, right? And coming with geographies, like as in India, most of them are convenient in their native language. Native language influence should be there. That's what Professor Deepthi has taught me in one of the SSMT lecture. So yeah, all such things. Yeah, then I realized, oh yeah, language should not be the barrier for communication. So it should be used even by the masses. So then I slowly formulated, then I have a clear path. Okay, this I have to achieve by whenever I hit 36 or so 40. So I have some goals probably I might achieve. So yeah, that's one of the thing what I just wanted to share. And probably that's the moment.
You want to share?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. So I think my moment is also kind of very related to what Ganesh has just said. So initially, when we started with the basic courses that we had, like C programming and data structures, I knew that they were foundation courses, but the moment we were introduced to courses like natural language processing, artificial intelligence, etc., that is when, while doing assignments, I have found something like there is no one straight solution to solve a problem. You can approach it from multiple angles. And that is where like I found my joy. Like, for example, I still remember we did an assignment for author classification when given a piece of text, right? So if you just follow some kind of pre-processing techniques, you remove all stop words, all kind of more frequently occurring words, right? And if you remove those, you will lose the style of the text, right? In which the author has a style. So I kind of understood that no, there is this pre-processing step, but you shouldn't take that as a golden rule and apply for everything. So at each and every step, there is a reasoning why you take a certain decision. So that is something I really appreciated. I wanted to be in that kind of a field for, I wouldn't say the rest of my life. Maybe for now, I'm at least enjoying it. But now what I also do is when we take R&D solutions like this, when we create innovative solutions, how to take it to productionizations and how that can sustain there. That is also something that I'm really interested.
I can go next. So during like my first 2 years, since I wasn't like a CLD student, I had no language processing courses specifically. So when I was looking to join a lab in my second year and get interested into research, I was reading across various papers. And one of the things from our institute, and one of the things which excited me were like some of the works around Project Angel, which had recently come out at that time. And I remember realizing that these are the things, like this is one area which had like fair real world, like direct real world implications, and at the same time required a good amount of like technical engineering skills or like research skills and modeling skills. And that is something which really fascinated me. For those who are not aware, Project Angel was about hate speech detection on online social media platforms and making them safer for particularly younger women. So I wasn't a part of the project, but that is what kind of inspired me to like go for LTRC as a research option. Then talking about moments in my particular research experience, which made me feel like this is something I would want to continue and do even after I graduate. Were okay, so there was this time where like I was working on solving text generation for Wikipedia, automating Wikipedia articles. And one random day, ChatGPT got released. And we used to have these weekly meetings with Professor Vasu and Professor Manish and about our work. And I remember the next week, I had slides, and the title of that presentation was Existential Crisis. That what are we doing? What do we need to do beyond this? And like, is there any scope for anything to do for us anymore? And after those discussions, that week-long discussion of okay, what's happening, that quick experimentation of like rerunning all the benchmarks and testing it out with those systems, I realized that while most of people around are busy in enjoying something new, there are like bunch of like 5 students in a lab sitting and trying to figure out where it fails and extensively figure out where it failed. And eventually we were able to find not one, like multiple options, like multiple scenarios where it failed. I won't go into those details, but that is when I realized that okay, research is actually fun even when it hits you with a lot of problems, because the process to go through them is very collaborative, very intense, and very rewarding. And that was, I think, one moment where I felt like, okay, yeah, it'll be fun to continue doing that.
Monica?
So one of the assignment in NLP class was to implement word to vec from the scratch. So when I was doing that, I realized and I understand how the probabilistic model, traditional models, and how these word embeddings are important to get the representations. And I also played whether the representations of words changes with respect to the context, with respect to the surrounding words and all. So this made me realize and read a lot of papers like LSTM with attention and all. And also this exposure also helped me to fix my PhD research as well. So to implement all these representations from scratch for the Telugu language. And the aha moment is once the models are ready for the Telugu language, we did some automatic operations and we just projected how the results are. And for Telugu language, it performed very well. We are able to get all the semantically similar words. So we were so happy at that point of time. And for me, I did not feel anything that this is the rest of my life, but everything happened on the go. Like when I interacted with Radhika ma'am or Deepthi ma'am, I was able to get more and more information, which I realized that I should work on this field. Yeah.
Okay, so this is for Prasad, because you belong to that early generation. So at that time, we used to do all rule-based, basically paper, pen analysis of language, right? And today, students are very fast, right? Everything the machine is doing the analysis for them, right? So the output is the same, but I feel the understanding is where there is a kind of a gap. People earlier really understood the problem and came up with a solution. Now you just have to write a prompt or something and you get a solution, right? So how do you see yourself from say the journey from rule based to statistical to neural network based, these approaches to analyze language?
Yeah, so I think if I remember it right, I was able to see that first phase from rule based to moving towards statistical slowly, right? And then the whole LLM kind of thing happened like at a very fast pace, right? But yeah, you are right. I mean, so basically, what it demonstrates in some way is, and what you are also saying in a different way, is initially the humans were knowledgeable about the problem, which means the humans were more intelligent than the machines, and the humans were giving that intelligence. Now the machines are becoming more intelligent than humans. So basically, it is like the same problem we face with the calculator, right? So initially, people were memorizing the multiplication tables and all that stuff. These days, no kid goes through that process, right? So it's all, so you have the calculator. So you will, I think, in the future probably you will see a generation where they may not need a lot of these underlying insights. So the way knowledge is going to be driven is going to be just in time, meaning this whole, I think it will fundamentally disrupt a lot of fields, including education. Because education, this whole formal education that we go through, right? So learning things from basics, foundations, and all that stuff, because the knowledge pool becomes so vast. Now everything becomes just in time. Like, you cannot afford to spend 4 years studying something. It'll be okay. I'll spend another 1 week, 2 weeks. I want to quickly know everything that will help me to do this NLP project. Okay, so the whole paradigm is going to be shifted, that way. And this is going to be true for not just language processing, but any other field due to AI, right? Whether it is programming, whether it is investing, or any type of skill set that you want to pick up. I think it's all going to be just in time. You can gain expertise. So I think it's a very brave new world. The next few years, that I think a lot of things that we are used to, the traditional way of doing things, are going to be completely reinvented. It's going to change behaviors, a lot of things. Yeah.
So I would also see it, so earlier the traditional ways they would keep away from all the modern things, just like in our houses, people traditional conservative people would like to have their dosa and vada batter to be done by hand, right? Today we are going for all the blenders, electric appliances. So those people still say, but handmade ones are much tastier. Okay, so this is how it is, so students, if I even ask my children, multiply 13 into 13, they're like, why should I do a mental calculation when there's a tool that will tell me, right? And so there is always this resistance for something, and that is where you see the generation gap, right? Now, I have one question. So your supervisors belong to the earlier era, right? And you belong to the, at least Monica and Sai Ganesh, this question is for you. So were there any times you felt you knew more than your professors? Your professors are here, but it's okay. They all are broad-minded. Were there any moments you thought, I know more than my teachers?
No, like frankly speaking, like I didn't feel so because being frank, like I didn't feel so because like to just answer in a one line, like uh, Professor Anil like was my elder brother who used to give me suggestions. No, if you do this way, you are going to fall in this trap. So you should not. I mean, see, it depends on how we converse. How we converse. If you converse in a wrong way, that will lead to a wrong direction.
You already
But
got your degree, don't worry.
no. It's not. No. It's not about being very frank. Like most of the discussions went through a conversation. Like at one point of time, I felt like no, probably I might be right. Then next day morning, sir used to come up and show, no, see, this paper is already published. So no, try some other method. So like what I feel is like they are just showing us a path which will lead in a shorter way, right? Which will lead in a shorter way where you will learn too many things. If we choose this way, you'll go to the result, but there won't be any byproduct of it. So yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah, Monica.
I'll try to answer this in a lighter note. Let's say I'll go to Radhika ma'am or Deepthi ma'am and say, I know this ID batter or some other branded batter and all. Then they will say to me, yeah, these batters are all fine, but I know how to make homemade batter. I mean, we may know the names of the technologies and all, but definitely they will give us the way how to implement these technologies, whether we are going in a correct direction or not, like what linguistic information we need to have and all those things. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay, at least we groomed our students to be politically correct. We are proud of all of you. So, one question I would like to say. So, my own experience was that I did my PhD in 90s, and libraries were only the source of information. So, University of Hyderabad, then maximum you go to FLU or Osmania University for, and that's like 1 day journey kind, go and come back. But today you have access to information, like, and but the downside is there's lots of information, right? Too much of information is also like overwhelming. So again, this comes back to you. Do you see the PhD these two people have done recently compared to the PhD you have done earlier with lesser internet access, and we did not have smartphones. Now everything, like even to take a printout, I'll share this. When I was a PhD student, we would give a printout to the line printer and go and have tea. When we come back, the print would be ready. Okay. Today, of course, we don't even need a printout. Everything is in your handheld devices. So, do you see the current generation have an edge over your time, where access to everything is so easily available?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, definitely there is a lot more tooling available, lot more support available for the current generation of students. And that is true not only for my generation, maybe you go back further, right? So that is true as a continuous trend if you look at it. And probably that is also needed because the nature of the problems are also going to become more and more challenging. And hence the time that is available for you needs to be more efficiently used. And hence you need all that tooling. Otherwise, you will not be able to compete and actually deliver value uh, at the end of the day to push the state of the art. So this is how I think about it. So there is no doubt that that trend is still continuing and probably it will also continue further, right? Maybe it will even go to an extent where the machines will start generating the research hypothesis. Maybe all the initial work is already done. So maybe the human's role gets more and more diminished. So, but ultimately, the nature of challenges also are going up. The nature of problems that you're dealing with, which previously were thought to be impossible, are being made possible these days. So, hence, that kind of tooling and assistance in research is going to be needed.
So I'll take a different shift to this. When we are working and you meet other research groups, right? So there is a certain kind of cultural shock or certain kind of inspiration this other group gives, right? We had that at University of Hyderabad when Akshar Bharti group came to us. We were like, we do little bit of research, little bit of fun, but Akshar Bharti group, Sangal sir is here, Vinny Chaitanya ji, they are like, they just work without breathing, they work. So that was my first exposure to a different kind of work culture that I was exposed to. So similarly, I will ask, this question is for Divya and Monica. You had your own internship, postdoc experience abroad. So can you throw some light on this experience you had with research groups, how they are different or how similar they are to our work culture? Can you share your experience?
Yeah, so I think it was in the year of 2016. I had just finished my 4th year and I had this opportunity to go for a summer internship at Language Technologies Institute, Carnegie Mellon University. First of all, I was very excited. Then when I went there, one good thing there was that they very well recognized the work that LTRC has been doing, and they are very much aware of what is the culture of LTRC. And then it was a very warm welcome for me. But something that's different is that when I went there, we were working on this project where there were people from multiple disciplines. So here, when I was working in the lab, I had like mainly 2 sections of people. One is from the linguistics department, like my guide, Professor Deepthi ma'am. And then there were others from the statistical and other lecturers. But then when I went there, I saw that there were people from psychology department, there were people like behavioral sciences, right? And then there were people coming from mechanical engineering background and so many different backgrounds. And they were all coming together to work on a project which was called Socially Aware Robot Assistant, where at that point of time, it was trying to do some kind of, based on how you speak, analyze the rapport between the machine and the human being. And how all these things, so first of all, when you work in a team like that, because I was not used to that difference of backgrounds, for me, it was I should say it was a learning curve where I had to convey my technical ideas in a very non-technical way as well, and the other way around also to some other people. So here everybody understood, right? When I was working, I didn't have to put so much effort. So that's one thing there. And then also, I think with these different kinds of people, you, like I already mentioned earlier, one problem, so you think of only one side of things. I either because I have that linguistics exposure and statistical exposure, I look at only from that angle, but somebody else will come in and put in the psychology aspect and, look at from that side also. So I would say there's a lot of learning, skill development. Definitely when you're working with a lot of people, we had to learn a lot of new things. So at that point of time, we were not very well versed with GitHub or anything like that. But since we were developing a product, though I was an intern, I had to pick up things very fast. That's one thing. And as a byproduct, ma'am, I would say that that increased a lot of confidence in me as an individual. And when I came back, I've been thinking how to, when I get some things and incorporate it in our own lab. Yeah, that has been my experience.
Monica?
I'll 100% agree with Divya. So coming to my postdoctoral journey, I did my postdoc in University of Bonn, Germany. So the goal of the project, which was assigned to me, was to develop a data set for stance and dogmatism tasks. So generally, we know that we used to do stance for a post, that to which limit to 300 to 400 characters. But here I need to do for the entire Reddit conversation, which is a year long or maybe goes to 2 year, 3 year long, which is having like more than, each user is having like more than 590, 600 comments and very lengthy, like one paragraph, one page comments. So with my knowledge, initially I started the human annotation. I almost spent 5 months of time doing human annotation. I only have 1 year, 2 months time to finish that project, but it is not working. So then I quickly realized, why can't I use LLMs as human-like annotators to do this task? Because it's very complex task and humans are unable to do it. It's like reading the entire user history, identifying stance for each post, and dogmatism for the entire conversation. Then I wrote the prompt, and using the Mistral Large as well as GPT-4 models, I was able to achieve the on-par performance with the human annotation. In the last panel discussion also, Manish and the people from the Microsoft also told that they're using LLMs as annotators for the tasks which are inside the Microsoft. So I think I also have done the same thing. And we got some reviews at NeurIPS, some raised ethical concerns as well. We addressed them. So it's like a good learning curve for me, and the things that will work for Indian languages may not work for other languages. Sometimes we need to do things very quickly. At that time, definitely we can use LLMs. But one thing I can say is we need humans in the loop to do the evolution. So I also used humans to do annotation for the 200 smaller conversations, and we evaluated it using the LLM annotations. Yeah, this is what I have done there.
Good. So each one of you have, it's more like, IIIT is a home and then you go out, right? Same worries we also have for our students. So Bhavyajit, this question is for you. So you moved immediately to industry, right? So how is NLP or anything that you learned here, how is it helping in your current role? And what challenges do you face in real world applications?
Okay, so yeah, my current role is again that of a research fellow. So apart from the technical concepts, even the general know-how and that entire journey of a research project that I had already done here for my like master's thesis is something that has been like very helpful in my day-to-day job there. More than that, coming on to the second part of the question, which also includes like the technical things from here, which are helping me around, and challenges in real world NLP. So for that, to give a brief background, I'm working on improving retrieval and recommendations for low latency constraint settings, right? Now, something that has been different from what we were doing at IIIT is that it's not just the results that matter, it's also a huge trade-off of results versus the cost at which those results come, which is what matters. So, for example, because it's like somewhat product-oriented research, if we are giving a 5 point gain on a particular metric, but with say 50 more GPU hours or 50 times the GPU hours, then that doesn't matter. However, if the same like then that's not a good research solution basically as per those standards. But if I could get the same gains with, like, say, the same compute requirements, or at least 5 times the gains, then even the compute goes out of the window. So that is something very different, where the constraints move with respect to what you come up with, and how, like, you have to analyze that trade-off for every solution that you think of. Whereas in IIIT, we used to just thrive for like the best possible solution in most cases. Like, how do we get the best possible numbers, basically, if it's a number task, or like the most reliable solution, and so on and so forth. Secondly, in terms of the technical things that I learned here, I feel the concepts are very similar, even with all the new things that keep coming up, and we have been having these discussions. The backbone of a lot of things, at least in a window of like, in my window of like last 3-4 years, hasn't changed too much. Even when I was at IIIT, we were working with transformer based, attention based standard models. Over there also, I'm using the same models, just under different settings, different constraints, and so on.
So, Prasad and Sai Ganesh. So, with all this latest LLM and all that, how do you think it will affect your role in industry, or vice versa? You know?
I think one of the panels, previous panels, they also talked about that LLMs are not yet revenue generating, so it's like, but they are more into cost cutting right now. I agree, but one thing that is definitely that we are going to see is there are going to be a lot of productivity gains. Okay, so productivity gains directly or indirectly translates into reduction in human resources, for sure, right? So this again, like, would happen at varied percentages in different industries. Like you already mentioned, like the machine is able to annotate better than human beings on my research task. So that is going to be true for so many other types of tasks, whether it is programming, whether it is content creation, or even strategy making, so many types of things. So this is going to be disrupting in a way of reducing human labor. So what does that mean to people, youngsters who are now going to come into the labor market? It means that I mean it should be viewed as an opportunity, in my view, because now probably is a better time to think about value creation as an innovator or as an entrepreneur than as a job seeker. I think the next generation, probably we are going to be seeing this more often, that a lot more people will be ending up doing their own startups, because the cost of doing the startup is going to come down because of these type of technologies. So the amount of people that needs to create a billion-dollar company, if you look at it historically, has been coming down. Okay, so initially it used to take hundreds of people, then 100 people, then WhatsApp was sold for $16 billion with 15 people or something like that, right? So the number of people needed to build a high impactful application is going to come down because of these type of technologies. Because if somebody has a very innovative idea in future, they don't need to build a large team around them. They probably need 2-3 people, and they will be able to very quickly go to market and disrupt some industry and generate valuation. So I think in future, a lot of people need to learn this skill of being on their own instead of depending on somebody to give a job to them.
Sai Ganesh, you want to add to that?
I have a slightly different opinion. So what I feel is AI is another technology, first of all. Like, so I would just quote from yesterday's Dr. Srinivas things. Like, he has quoted a very beautiful example of a customer service, what they have deployed, right? So the point here is like, like if you're talking to any customer agent, say it could be an IVR or something, if you deploy an LLM, right? So there's a chance of hallucination or something. Like for enterprise, it is a different ball game. You need to fine tune it for such use cases. Number one. Number two, it should be real time. No customer will wait for a longer time, right? It has. So what I feel is, um, like no customer will wait for a longer duration, right? So everything has to be real time. For that, such data is required first of all. See, what I feel, this is my opinion totally. The LLMs currently have mimicked language, but it couldn't mimic human thought. So it will take some time to mature. Number one, whatever the vertical you take, I mean to say the contact center or education domain. If assume there are a bunch of people who don't understand English properly, who are convenient in their native language. They want education in that particular thing. So can we give a personalized content to them in their native language, in their accent or something? Such things still require certain maturity. It will take time because of lack of availability of data, or there are a number of things. So yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like something like a human is required. One liner is a human is required in between. Directly we can't expect an end to end just talking to a bot as of now, like probably
You want to add?
five
Yes.
to 10 years.
Just one example, ma'am. So I agree that from the time that LLMs have been around for some time now, but I think from the time that ChatGPT has been announced, because it's so beautifully packaged and everybody can use it, right? From that point of time, we have seen that the penetration of Gen AI and LLMs itself has increased, but I don't think it has reached a level where maximum, or at least if you take India, right, majority of the population is still not, they're not using it, right? We don't have that level of products. Like for example, in the morning, I think Professor Ravi was showing an example where something, there's a picture of Hanuman's idol, and then there's a description that is generated in English, and that English is then translated into Hindi, right? So that element is bringing that inclusivity where Gen AI and LLM technology can reach maybe somebody who doesn't know English or cannot understand English. So I think historically, I think we have been trying to see what are the technologies that exist, try to understand those technologies and see what we can solve with them. But now we should start I think we should start to find problems. What are the problems that are there and how we can bring this inclusivity? If there is any technology, how can we bridge that gap? I think that is where maybe the current generation of the students can think more on.
Okay, with keeping the time in mind, we'll just do one round. Okay, very quickly. One advice to our current students. And along with that, first part of your response should be, how will you see LTRC in next 10 years? What is your expectation? And what advice would you give to the current students? So we'll do this quickly, okay, starting with Monica.
Yeah. So in earlier years, let's say if you're working on an NLP task such as sentiment analysis or hate speech, if we get better accuracy or if we do a better error analysis, we used to publish a paper. But now the things have changed and it changed very rapidly. With this, lot of researchers also thinking what has already been done and what needs to be done. We also need to work on solutions in an end-to-end manner. We need to work on things like interpreting the LLMs, like why, what, how, like behavioral, representational interpretability, and mechanistic interpretability. And also think like this: we have only one brain, but we used to understand sentences, images, videos, everything, sign language, and all. So we should think of developing models like this and also evaluating these models. I feel the end goal is to get a model which is like a human brain. So we have a lot of possibilities in neuro AI field where this linguistic information is needed, and also a field called human AI alignment. We can work on these things. And I strongly believe that these days people from other domains like speech as well as image vision people are also coming and working in NLP field which makes everyone to have the breadth and depth knowledge of our field. And I strongly believe that LTRC will be able to capable with the advancements of this interdisciplinary research in the next decade. Yeah.
Yeah, I think LTRC should start thinking more in terms of finding problems which are locally relevant, fundamental, and which are grand challenges. I think annotation projects were definitely of that nature, right? So multi-year, and it needed a lot of effort. So in the current scenario of things where we have a lot more tools, lot more automation in place, given that LTRC has such a large pool of human resources now, I think a large number of people now are more from technology background than linguistics and this type of background. So we should start thinking of making the problem size bigger, choose bigger problems which may be locally relevant, and then build systems around it, like a proper program or a product, right? So that it becomes a multi-year, it'll have a life of its own, and people will be able to push the state of the art, and they will also be able to uh, easily be absorbed in the industry because they are not focusing only on the language aspect of it, but they are looking at it as a grand challenge. Now, what those challenges are, I'm not sure. Probably some discovery work needs to happen. Maybe somebody needs to do some kind of work in the field with users. Some kind of background work needs to happen, or it could also be a continuous process. Um, I think even in US, a lot of universities like this were the genesis for some of the fundamental work that finally led into these type of systems, right? Whether it is LLMs or whether it is uh, automatic cars, like self-driven cars, or a lot of groundbreaking disruptions that happen do not happen overnight, but they were part of a very long duration grand challenge. So I think if LTRC can come up with some challenges like that, which seem to be impossible on the face of it, but if you start working on it from now, maybe over the next decade or maybe few generations from now, will make some reasonable impact.
Good. Yeah.
I think most of the things they have answered. I would like to add, two things. One is real-time aspect in industry. Like if the model size is very big, right? They won't encourage for a deployment. It should be literally optimized. Like if it's 5 GB also, no. It has to be something which fits in their infra, and they try to see the operational cost should come down. So I think real time, then definitely it would be very fast, the inference will be very fast. That's one thing. And second one would be, anyway, like I think in LTRC every group or other group, like they are working on low resource constraint. Yeah, these two I would just like to add.
Any advice to our current PhD and MS students?
uh,
Or
Yeah, okay. I would like to borrow a quote which Professor Anil used to regularly say to me. So, research is a movie, right? It has to be planned, executed, and it has to be accessible even to the lower pyramid. Then the paper or like whatever you build or whatever you do, then it would be a fruitful. So I think this thing, yeah, I follow regularly this. So I think it is better to follow.
yeah.
Yeah, most of the things they have covered, but what I would also say is I think like multimodal Gen AI models are the future. But then I think as the modalities increase and the types of features that we process increase, the explainability kind of decreases a lot, right? So I think it'd be very good if we, as at TRC at the lab, if you can focus on that explainability part as well. the goal should be towards fairness or transparency in the models or on ethical grounds. So if we can bring in that aspect also, I think along with excellence, we will achieve the other value system part as well. And then my advice to the students is that because this is an advice that I give to myself, I get like really anxious when a new model comes in, a new Gen AI model comes in, right? So every time it's such a rapidly growing space that even if you run constantly, I don't think you can catch up with that pace, right? So I would say don't try to learn everything. And when you try to learn everything, you give like a limited amount of time to it, but make sure whatever you're interested in, make sure you have those fundamentals very strong. But tomorrow, something might come up, but like, if it is based on the transform architecture, you need to know what attention is. So that is something that I think you should get your fundamentals very right.
Yeah, so I'll start with the advice question first. So at least for like dual degree students and like young researchers, right? People who are trying things during their undergraduation, it becomes very easy to get distracted by the incentives or the outcomes of research rather than the research itself. So I would strongly recommend people to like pick harder problems, pick more foundational problems if you are truly interested in like what you are doing, because that will be way more fun and way more rewarding. Don't don't say sacrifice the quality of the solution or the quality of the problem itself based on external factors like timelines or anything else that you want to optimize for in general. And yeah, I know it's like easier said than done, but yeah, that is something that I would recommend. Secondly, for LTRC, I feel like as a lab, we have done a great job of keeping up with things that have been like changing rapidly, and all of us have been talking about all that. That would certainly be something that I would want LTRC to keep on doing, because I'm like all of us now, after everything that we have listened to today, are pretty sure that a lot is going to change, not just in a decade, but probably in the next 3-4 years itself. And while it's very hard to predict where those directions of change would be, it will be great to just be open to accepting those changes, whether they come in the form of multimodality, whether they come in the form of uh, completely alternate architectures and so on. Lastly, I feel that it would, which is something that has been already said, even for LTRC, I would really love if we, like the lab and us, we could focus on like more foundational problems, uh, which have a regional impact, but at the same time have a much broader impact to the general like public as a whole beyond certain regional aspects as well. While like the regional work is great, but those would also be very like interesting tasks to focus on.
Yeah. So again, with interest of time, we can just open it for one or two questions only from if our current students have anything to ask the panel members. Anyone? Okay. Okay, I'm getting all. So, thank you very much. Embracing change is and has been the motto of LTRC. We are expanding, and in the expansion, I also see the walls between, say, speech and NLP lab is also thinning. There will be Vasu has been talking about this. This is only one floor, no labs within LTRC. I also see. CVIT, which is on upper floor, that gap also is thickening. Only thing we don't want that our ceiling to fall down, but vision, speech, text, this multimodality, I think, is the future for us. With that note, I thank all the panel members. We'll be continuously in touch. Thank you and all the best for your future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Radhika ma'am, and thank you to all the alumni to share their views. We really enjoyed it. I would like to invite Vasudev sir to please present them with a memento. Yeah, we also have gifts from the alumni cell for the alumni. So, yeah, that will be a token of appreciation from our side.
Yeah.
So I really thank, this was a very warm gesture from our alumni committee. Thank you very much.